Welcome to Rise and Thrive Women, journeying from surviving to thriving after abuse. We're your hosts, Susie and Heather, and we're so glad you're here. If you've experienced the heartache of toxic relationships, you know that feeling of being lost, broken, and unsure of where to turn next, and this show is for you.
We're here to inspire, educate, and empower women like you, no matter where you are on your healing journey. Together, we'll challenge the misconceptions surrounding domestic abuse, explore practical solutions, and listen to stories that remind us all that there is a brighter, better future waiting. It's time to rise, thrive, and choose yourself. Let's begin this healing journey together.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
How are you doing today?
I'm amazing. How are you? I'm
Good.
really looking forward to this topic too.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just making my way through the week. It feels like a short week this week, but yeah, all good. So today we're talking about should you use ChatGPT when co-parenting with a narcissistic ex? So, but before we jump into that, we always love to talk about our Rise and Thrive Women membership because we worked really hard on it. We've got a great group of women in there, and we'd like to just like chat about it from the rooftop. So, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, yes. So it's a private off social media community for women healing from narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships. And yes, it is all women. Whether you're still in it, figuring out how to leave, or rebuilding your life after, there is something in there for everyone.
Yes. It's chock full of great resources and materials too. So there's learning modules around narcissistic abuse and divorce and all the things. We also put all of our workshops that we've ever done in there as resources too, as well as getting members get access to any future workshops we do. We do bi-monthly live coaching calls. And we've been starting to throw in some Friday evening socials. So we have one of those coming up tomorrow night where we
Yes,
just
yes,
get
yes.
online and we get a beverage, alcoholic, non-alcoholic. Kids are welcome. Like it's just like a hangout for an hour and get to know each other. So we do that as well. And then there's a private forum where people can ask their questions, get support. So really, it's a great value. We calculated it's over a $3,000 value. You can get in there and try it for free for 7 days. And the current price is $19 a month, but that's actually going up on Monday to $79 a month. We have found we kind of intentionally did this, like we wanted to offer a deep discount to begin with, but we know what we're offering has a tremendous value, and we're really kind of undercharging at $19 a month. So if you have been thinking about it and haven't pulled the trigger yet, do it because you can get in there at $19 a month. And we also have started an affiliate program. So once you're in, if you bring a new member into the group, you actually get, what is it, 20% of their monthly
Yes,
fee
yes.
paid out to you. So there's some incentive there to keep building a community and build this great group of support.
Yeah,
So
I mean, if you think about it, there are so many, every person that I talk to. So I've been like getting out in my local community lately, and I don't want to stay on this whole, I don't want to harp on the join the membership, but I think it's really important that we address, like, we all know someone who has gone through something like this, whether
mhm.
it's, having non-supportive or narcissistic parents, or feeling like you have gotten out of a narcissistic relationship, and even like feeling like you attract narcissists when you're even in the dating field. And if we aren't that woman, we know one or two in our circle of friends who are constantly struggling with this. And it has just severe impacts on our mental health, on our self-worth. And so I think the best thing about the affiliate program is at the end of the day, it could be a free community for everybody, right? Like everybody benefits. And, Susie and I were talking about it, and we want to really be able to give back. And so right now it's only $19 a month, and 20% of 19 isn't a whole lot, but we are raising the price to $79 a month,
Mhm.
or $7.99 yearly.
Mhm.
And even at that price, you're not going to find anything with the level of support that we provide, and with the
Yeah.
community that we have within it. Like, it's not just us, it's a team of women.
Right.
So And we have highly discounted coaching in there. If you wanted a one-on-one trauma recovery practitioner, you can pick between Susie or myself. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It
So
essentially pays for itself. If you're considering
yeah,
doing individual coaching, we're charging $60 a session for our Rise and Thrive members only. We don't offer that to anyone else. So if you do 2 coaching sessions a month, essentially it's paying for the membership because
right,
you're saving, $40 to $50 a session. So
yeah.
anyways, if that's not convincing enough, I don't know what else we can say.
Right. So the
So
link to join is below in the show notes. If you're watching this on Susie's channel or my channel, if you're watching this on my Instagram, that is in my bio. If you're interested in joining us, like we said, there's a 7-day free trial and there's a social tomorrow. So what better way to
yeah.
get in there for free for a while to figure out if it's even your thing. So get over there, check it out. If it's not for you, fine. If it is, we'd love to have you. And now we're going to just kind of segue into our topic today, which is, should you use ChatGPT to communicate with your narcissistic ex? And this topic came to us from one of our Rise and Thrive members.
Mm-hmm.
It was so funny because Susie and I spent so long building all the materials that are in there. And one of the things that we have is how to communicate. Like if you are in the middle of divorce or even after post divorce and you're experiencing post separation abuse, the abuse continues. And so learning how to strategically communicate with them becomes imperative. And we spent so much time like putting course materials together so everybody in the group had access and like a checklist of things to follow when they're communicating. And we had a girl post, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, hey guys, if you tried ChatGPT, it's actually really effective.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
whenever I thought about it, I was like, holy crap, ChatGPT really is replacing a lot of what we do. And so I thought it would be, or Susie and I thought it would be fun to talk about it today. And if you are watching live, if you want to even provide us with some texts from your ex, just,
Mm-hmm.
what they have said, and we can run it through ChatGPT live and just see what it recommends, we can.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And you can remove names, you can remove things that might identify you, whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, we can do that, and we can tell you if we agree with ChatGPT's response or if we would say something a little bit differently. But yeah, like you said, Heather, I thought when I heard about this, I was like, wow, what a smart idea. Why haven't I thought of thought of that before, and helping advise women on how to handle these kind of things. Um, and it's sad that we have to think about using ChatGPT for communication with narcissistic ex, but I mean that's just the reality, and it is a tool. So why not use it? Why not explore how it could be helpful? So yeah, I'm excited we're talking about this. I think first just kind of getting into to why we thought this was an important topic. Like you said, when it comes to post separation abuse, oftentimes that emotional abuse, verbal abuse actually can get worse after separation. Before it gets better, the abuse intensifies, and you find yourself receiving these brutal messages. They're long. I used to call them, and I still kind of call them word salad messages because it's just throwing everything at you. Insults, accusations,
you're a terrible
manipulations.
mother.
Right. Yeah, that's a common one. Sarcasm, oftentimes targeting your most vulnerable and sensitive parts. Like you said, that you're a terrible mother. That's a really common one. So of course it leaves the receiver of that message feeling triggered, anxious, constantly drained. It can honestly derail someone's day to receive a message like that, or several days. Um, so yeah, that's why we wanted to spend some time talking about it. It really does go along with like the whole parallel parenting thing. How can you take some emotion out of this whole process and be able to put it in someone else's hands? And let's see if ChatGPT could help with that. So Like Heather said, send your example messages if you would like. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed in that first part. No, I think that kind of explains why. Is there anything else you would add, Heather, like why we're talking about this today?
Well, I think it's really important that this if you are in the middle of divorce, your legal strategy is key. And so making sure that if you are using a tool like ChatGPT, to know that this doesn't replace the advice of an attorney. I think that's, I don't know if that's in our outline. I'm sorry, Susie.
No, yeah,
We will
is, but
later. But
yeah,
I think it's just really, because there's two different pieces of this. There's the communication piece and the communication strategy, and then there's the legal side, right? Which your communications can be powerful if you need to use them in terms of painting the picture of the character, right? Your character and your abuser's character. And I think it's just really important that anyone who is watching or considering using the tool, that it doesn't replace legal advice. And you're going to want to give it extra parameters if you do have a specific legal strategy in mind, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Right, for sure. Yeah, you'll probably have to give it some context around the dynamic and your current situation and how you want the tool to help you. You know, if you want it to help you focus on drafting responses that are, I guess, digesting the messages you're getting and picking out what actually pertains to the kids, which is what the communication should be about, then tell ChatGPT that's what you want it to do. You know, just tell me what I need. Tell me what's in here that I actually need to respond to about the kids. So,
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about, you know, some of those drawbacks and things to consider, but anything else you can think of that's like, what are some pros to using a tool like ChatGPT to help you draft responses to a narcissistic ex?
Yeah, I think it removes a lot of the emotion that has, especially if you're fresh out, like if you're in the middle of separation, in the middle of divorce, your emotions are running high. You're still, you may still be in shock and trying to piece together who this person even is. And I can tell you, if you're receiving a lot of messages that is attacking your, like you personally, telling you're a terrible person, telling you that you've always done things like this, and that, or using your vulnerabilities against you to make you feel bad about yourself, that can cause a lot of shock. It can cause a lot of hurt feelings and trying to piece together, who is this person I married? And so it removes the emotion. And when you paste a hostile or manipulative message into ChatGPT and ask it for a neutral, child-centered response, you get some distance from it. You may not even need to read it all, right? I mean, before ChatGPT, I think my advice to everyone, I mean, I would allow people 24/7 access to me through an app called Voxer. And I would advise them, send the message to me or send the message to your friend if I'm not able to respond, you know, immediately and you feel like you need to send a response. But sometimes I would suggest just paste it, put it in an email and send it to a friend and say, do I even need to respond to this?
Yeah.
And now you have ChatGPT.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because just sometimes reading those messages, like I said, it can really trigger you and derail you. So yeah, absolutely.
I would say that it also helps to prevent over-explaining. Survivors also, you know, we always feel pressure to defend ourselves.
Yes.
But court professionals prefer communications that are short, factual, and businesslike. So, so don't explain yourself, right? Like you only need to address the points that are important, which is anything that relates to your children, pickup time, drop off locations,
doctor's appointments.
Yeah. All of those sort of things. So, so you don't have to over explain yourself. And then it also takes the pressure off of your support system, right? Like a second ago, I was telling you what my old advice was before ChatGPT.
Right.
You know, ChatGPT becomes a little bit a part or a portion of your support system. And so survivors often feel like they're burdening friends and family whenever they constantly ask, like, you know, how do I respond to this? And so using AI gives you a starting point so that you don't always have to lean on other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
And then
sure.
it also saves just time and energy. So instead of hours of spent, just typing up messages or obsessing over, oh my God, how could they say that? Or let me explain myself better. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
using your time and energy on that, you can get a draft in literally seconds, tweak it if you need to, and then move on with your life.
Right.
Even as hard as it is, especially if you're fresh out, but it helps with being able to have a container for it and it's
Mm-hmm.
not overflowing everywhere into your life. So,
Right. Totally. Yeah. So I think all those are amazing pros and reasons why I think I would suggest someone at least try it to see if it does help ease the burden for themselves, for their support system, all the things. But we wanted to highlight just a few things to consider too that could be potential cons of using ChatGPT. So I mean, we know ChatGPT isn't perfect. It's essentially it's consuming all the information that's out there on the internet, so you never know if it's consuming factual information or information that's actually relevant to your specific situation. So um, you have to use some caution, and not take everything that it spits back out at you at face value. So with that, it doesn't necessarily understand the dynamics of narcissistic abuse. It might suggest that a response sounds reasonable and what like a healthy co-parenting dynamic, but it could things that could actually make it worse when you're dealing with someone who's narcissistic, like maybe suggesting that you apologize to them, or like you said, explaining yourself more than you need to, which can only just kind of fuel more attacks. The other piece is just becoming dependent on it would be a drawback. We want to be sure that survivors feel like they can trust themselves in how to respond, that they can learn how to manage these types of communications and manage their triggers. So it could be a helpful bridge, but it also could also become a crutch. So you don't want to depend on it 100% of the time, but just kind of know that it's there if you're having a bad day and you're like, I just can't deal with this today.
yeah.
And then, like you said, you have to remember that it's not legal advice. So if you are in active litigation or a custody dispute or something like that, make sure you understand from your attorney's perspective how your communication could affect your case. So ultimately, you'd have to take that responsibility to make sure that what you're saying aligns with your parenting plan, with your legal strategy, all of those things. So
Yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
Susie, I didn't mean to steal your thunder with my comment.
Oh, no, you're fine. And no, I mean, it's good to mention it a couple times because that's an important thing to be thinking about. I think going back to you've got to do a little legwork if you're going to use ChatGPT to explain your situation, explain how you want it to help you, and that will definitely help
Yep.
make it a more effective tool for you. So,
We do have a comment from one of our viewers, and she said it has saved me, and
oh,
I love hearing
yeah.
that. I mean, it was one of, it was just so funny when we got the response in our Rise and Thrive group about someone else using it. But I'm glad to know that it is
Mhm.
like it's accessible and it's easy for people
Right.
to reach. Because it really does take a mental load. And to the viewer that commented, it's saved me. Please feel free to like drop any other context.
Mhm.
If
Or
it's not
hints or yeah.
to trigger anybody, but uh,
Right.
if you have any
And
specific examples, we'd love to hear them and share them.
for sure. Yeah, if you have any tips and tricks to how you've made it work well for you that you want to share, feel free, please. So, and again, we're going to get into a section here where we're going to take some real examples that have come to us from within our community that we're going to plug in, or we've already plugged into ChatGPT. We'll talk about the response ChatGPT gave us, and then give our kind of assessment of whether or not we think that that's a good response. So, should we get into it? Some
Yeah, let's
examples.
do it.
A word salad message. Do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read it, and then you can give your assessment?
Sure.
Okay, here's the message. I still don't get asked by the nanny when she takes the kids on trips or play dates away from your residence on my days. How many times do I have to ask and get disregarded? You set the rules and we both agreed to them 3 years ago. Why in hell am I being ignored? And why do you say you'll address it and then nothing happens? I'm so bleeping tired of this, Stacy, that I'm at the point where I've started preparing all the shit I need on you when we go to court. Fact of the matter is, sure, I've said things, but your lack of actions will prove you're not capable of co-parenting, nor are you suitable to have residential custody of our children. I really don't know what else to do. Bringing you to court will cost $15,000 to $20,000, and I'm thinking it's worth it to finally get what's fair. Let's get to a stage of switching their schedule around and adding at least a day more for me before they're in elementary school. That's one less day I have to rely on the nanny to get shit out of what the kids' lives look like with you. The end.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts initially, and then we'll say what ChatGPT suggested.
I'm interested to know, like, how many of our viewers can relate to this. It's like,
yeah,
if you know one, you know them all. But
yeah,
I mean, this is classic intimidation, and it's full of threats, and especially for people who have been in relationships with abusive people, emotionally and manipulative people, most of the time they will read a lot of something in this message and think that they really do need to, that a judge would side with the abuser, first of all, right? They will likely feel responsible. They will likely feel like they have to respond immediately, and they will likely buckle under pressure, thinking that, one, I don't want to spend the money on court, that they're threatening, like they're threatening financial instability. And they might believe the abuse. Like, they may believe, like, oh my gosh, I am a terrible mom, and I do these things, and I don't want a judge to look at me like that and tell me this, that, or the other, and he's probably going to win anyway. And so I just want to say that it is designed to make you feel that way so that you comply.
Right. So you give in to whatever their demand is.
Yes.
Because ultimately the demand here is more custody time, right?
Yep.
It's not about being ignored or being disregarded. The person was probably giving short and to the point responses, and it's being twisted as being ignored.
Yeah. And so more often than not, not always, but more often than not, whenever you are getting demands for a custody change, it's typically because they feel pressure from a new supply, or there's some hidden agenda behind lowering child support.
Right.
Every time.
Right. Or control. That's it at the core of a lot of these types of messages too.
Yep.
So let's talk about what ChatGPT suggested how ChatGPT said to respond. So the unfiltered ChatGPT response to that message was, I acknowledge your message. Communication with the nanny will follow the parenting agreement. If you'd like to discuss changes to the schedule, please propose them through the proper channels. And that's it. So, what are your thoughts on ChatGPT's suggested response?
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's calm, it's neutral, and it doesn't create any sort of emotional reaction. There's no throwing fuel on the fire, and there's no argument to come back with anything, right?
Right. For sure. You're not defending yourself. You're just simply pointing to the agreement that you've made and saying that's what we're following.
Yeah. And even say, I will continue to follow the parenting plan as written.
Right. Yeah.
So that there's no confusion, right? Like you might want to add, we are going to continue to do the parenting plan as it's written today so that there's no confusion. Like if you want to change it, go through the proper channels, but for now we're going to continue to follow the parenting plan.
Right. 100%. It did highlight for me, this is like a total separate topic, the importance of having a detailed parenting plan when you're co-parenting with someone who's narcissistic.
Yeah.
Because my first thought when I read that was hopefully there is something outlined in how communication should look with the nanny. Because if it's not there, then you can't say that, you know? So that's why it's so important that you have really detailed parenting plans.
Yeah.
Should we do one more?
Sure.
And
you want me
any
to read
others?
it?
Sure.
So passive aggressive, just confirming the schedule for the week after we return back while we're at it. I'll have them Thursday through Tuesday. That way you can do what you do better than anything else, work. If you're trying to ruin a day the kids have looked forward to for a long time, you've been successful.
Yeah. So another kind of sarcastic, guilt trippy type of a message. It's trying to get an emotional response, which is the goal of a lot of these messages too. They want to get a reaction. They want to see that they can push your buttons. So we plugged this one into ChatGPT too, and ChatGPT's suggested reply was, the schedule remains as outlined in the parenting plan. I will pick up, drop off at the agreed times. So
I like that.
yeah, I think so too. I mean, ultimately, at the start of the message, it was, I'm just confirming the schedule for the week we return. So yeah, perfect. I think that's a great response too.
I also,
It
sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to say it ignores that the sarcasm. It's just focusing on the business-like aspects of this message, which is logistics. That's all that needs to be discussed here. Yep,
Right.
confirming we're following the plan. It keeps you out of that, just falling into that emotional storm that he or she is trying to create. So
Yeah.
I liked it.
Because they want, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they want. They want you to say, how could you say that about me? I work to provide,
Right.
they want you to get into this emotional roller coaster of arguments so that, 5 text messages later, you don't even remember what the original
what you were even talking about. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, that's just 2 examples, but I think from what we saw, we would say, yeah, worth exploring using this as a tool. Again, if it helps you take some emotional burden off yourself, avoid those emotional triggers, relieve a little burden from your support system, it's worth trying.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I have a few others, just really quick, because I know that we're going to move into the next segment, but there are a few just quick ones.
Yeah.
You're always changing the schedule and making things difficult. I'm sick of you trying to control everything. If you cared about our kids, you'd actually cooperate for once.
Was that one that somebody gave to us, or just, or
this is what I just looked
these are
up.
things that you've seen? Yeah.
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 And the response here is, the schedule for this week is Tuesday and Thursday with you, and Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with me. Pickup is at 5. If you'd like to request a change, please respond with a specific time and date in writing. Thank you. So I don't even think that ChatGPT understood that question. Because it sounds like they were complaining about the swap in question. And this is also a good example of why you can't always trust what ChatGPT gives you, because there were no parameters for that message. So just really quick, when is ChatGPT helpful versus when you should consult a lawyer? I think that it's really important to have communication strategies discussed with your attorney. Education and awareness is a really good one. And I think just talking with an attorney about your rights as a parent, instead of relying on ChatGPT to, respond to all of these messages with that in mind, or making sure that you understand what your rights are, what his or her rights are as a parent. Typically, if you have joint custody, you have equal rights, right? And so understanding that is going to be important. And whenever I would say the most important time to consult an attorney and not consult ChatGPT is if there's some sort of disturbance that happens and you are suspecting like there is some sort of active abuse happening, whether it's emotional, psychological, physical, right? You don't want to ask ChatGPT. Like that's when you need to get on the phone with your attorney and figure out like what you need to do legally. Those aren't situations where you need to ask ChatGPT, like, what should I do? That is an attorney. That is a job for an attorney.
Right. For sure. Yep. The other question we wanted to address was how do you make sure your replies stay child focused? So I think this is in the case that if somebody isn't relying on ChatGPT, I think is kind of at the core of this question, right? Just in general, how do you make sure your replies stay child focused?
Yeah.
I think just having that mindset of taking a step back, taking the emotion out of it, making your responses businesslike, and as hard as it is sometimes to not respond emotionally and to not defend yourself, you have to just ask yourself, is what I'm saying directly pertaining to the kids, or am I bringing something else into this interaction that is beyond that? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that you should be communicating is about the kids. So I think just trying to have that mindset and reminding yourself that that's to help you, that's to protect you. Defending yourself and having a tit for tat is not going to help you. It's only going to trigger you. It's only going to waste your precious energy. So that would be my advice. Anything else that you would add to that?
I would say if you are accused of anything via text, I don't know if ChatGPT would. I don't know how ChatGPT would respond. Because sometimes ChatGPT may take that accusation as fact, right? Like this, because narcissistic people tend to speak at, matter of factly, like this, whatever reality they live in anyway. They will send those types of messages and they will accuse you of things. So I think it is important to filter out any text messages where you're being accused of anything and responding with things like, that's not true.
Right. Very simple.
You don't have to go into any detail about how could you say that, when did that happen? Just say, that's not true, and move on to whatever needs to be addressed with the kids.
Right. I agree.
So I think that's probably something, because it does happen a lot. You'll get accused of a lot of things. And so making sure that you, one, state for the record, because text messages can be used against you in court. So state for the record, that's not true. Also, whatever needs to be responded to about that.
And would you say that you should give a short response like that, like saying that's not true, to every accusation, or is it just things that could affect, if this person is saying, you're putting the kids' lives in danger by doing blah, blah, blah. Yes, of course, say that's not true. But if they are repeatedly saying, you're a horrible mother, you should have never had kids, you're a POS parent, do you respond to all of those things, or just things that are material, like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And thank you for asking it, because it'll clarify a lot. So no, anytime that it's an opinion, like you're a terrible person, you're a terrible mother, you're a whore, you're whatever, you don't have to say that's not true. The only time you really need to say that's not true is if they are accusing you of something that can be used against you negatively in court when it comes to your kids.
Right. Yeah. Right.
or it could be used against you criminally. It's something,
Right.
something that could impact your life in a negative way, like having your custody taken, or,
Right.
if they accuse you of some sort of financial fraud in the middle of divorce, because, financials come up a whole lot. So if they accuse you of taking money or something like that, you're going to want to say,
Right.
that's not true. And then whatever needs to be addressed.
I'll
And
pick up
sometimes,
Sammy at 3. Right.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Asshole.
And bye.
Don't say asshole.
Right.
But yeah, you get what you
Yeah,
get what I'm saying.
for sure. And what if this, I think this happens a lot when people when people finally make the shift of not getting drawn in emotionally into these types of messages and they give these business like responses. Oftentimes the narcissistic person will say like, "You're so cold. Why are you so uncooperative? Like you're such a, whatever, blah blah blah." What do you think someone should do in those cases if they're being told they're a cold bitch or whatever?
I wouldn't even respond.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't
It
either.
doesn't
It's
matter.
another it's
Yeah.
another it's bait, right? It's
Yep.
bait. So,
Those sort of things don't need a response.
yeah, I would view it as it's confirmation you're handling your communication the way you should be handling it.
Yep.
Because that's how we have to handle it. We have to be kind of cold and businesslike. So I would
Yep.
say pat yourself on the back if you get that kind of feedback, right? So, all right. Any other questions that have come through that you've
Let me
seen?
see. I haven't looked in a minute. No, we don't. We
Okay.
had some people join, pop in and out, but we don't have any more
Yeah.
questions.
Okay. And feel free, anybody who's watching the replay on this, if you have a message come up and you ever want to share it after watching this video, drop it in our comments and Heather and I would love to help you, with your response, whatever. Feel free to do that. So,
Yeah, and again, to find us, the link to join Rise and Thrive Women are in the show notes.
mhm.
We would love, love, love to have you and
Yes.
get to know everybody more personally. And we have our social hour, our Friday night social tomorrow. I'm really excited about that. I need to go out and get
Yay.
alcohol-free elixir.
Yes.
So we'd love to see you all there.
Absolutely. All right. Want to close us out?
Yes, ma'am. So thank you all for joining us on this episode of Rise and Thrive Women. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to take charge of your own healing journey, whether it's a new perspective, renewed hope, or the courage to move forward. It is something worth celebrating.
And remember, your story is still unfolding and your past does not define you. Within you lies strength, power, and limitless potential. So embrace it. Trust and follow your intuition with courage. Be bold, be brave, and always trust yourself. Until we meet again, take care, rise above, and thrive. You've got this. Bye,
Yay.
everybody. Have a great
Bye.
day.